My daughter had already taken my house, my name, and my funeral before anyone told her I was still alive. Her voice came through the hospital tablet with a soft tremble she had practiced for years. My father's final gift will give families hope when they have nowhere else to go, Olivia told the cameras. A heart monitor clicked beside my bed. The metal rail under my palm felt colder than ice. Alcohol stung the air, sharp enough to cover the faint, sour smell of medicine on my skin. Each breath pulled against the stitches beneath my gown. On the screen, white lilies crowded my living room. My photograph stood beside an empty chair. Olivia wore white, not black, and rested one hand over her chest while comments streamed beneath her face. My house. My memorial. Her audience. A caption beneath Olivia identified me as the late Grant Whitmore, documentary producer, philanthropist, and devoted father. I was 58 years old, breathing through an oxygen tube, while my daughter spoke about me in the past tense. A nurse had muted the television in the hall, but inside my room, every word remained sharp. The tablet rested on a meal tray no one had cleared because I could not keep food down. June Parker stepped into view, carrying the walnut box that held the beach villa keys. Olivia turned toward her with a grateful smile. Then June glanced at the empty place where Simon had been standing. She leaned close to the microphone, clipped to Olivia's dress. "Your father is alive," June said. "Didn't he tell you?" Olivia's smile broke. Her knees struck the stone floor hard enough for the sound to reach me through the speakers. She twisted toward the side door, searching for her husband. Simon was gone. 6 weeks earlier, Olivia had held my hand in a transplant center and promised she would save me. Dr. Shaw sat across from us with a folder resting on her lap. "Grant, your daughter is the only relative who has completed testing and matches you directly." Olivia squeezed my fingers. A blue silicone bracelet circled her wrist. "One life saves another" was stamped across it in white letters. Dr. Shaw turned to her. "Olivia, this is your decision. You have an independent donor advocate. You may stop at any point, and you do not owe anyone an explanation." "I understand," Olivia said. Tears brightened her eyes. She looked at me, then at Dr. Shaw. "He is my father," Olivia said. "I am not letting him die." At 58, 8 years after selling the documentary company I had built over 3 decades, I knew how easily a camera could turn emotion into truth. There was no camera in that room, yet I believed every word. I covered her hand with mine. "You do not have to prove anything to me. I want to do this," Olivia said. "Mom would expect me to." Hearing Eleanor invoked that way loosened something inside me. My wife had been gone 6 years. Olivia had built Gift of Tomorrow in her mother's name, telling donors that Eleanor taught her compassion. I had funded the first office, the first campaign, and every mistake Olivia called an emergency. Outside the transplant center, Simon opened the passenger door for her. His suit looked untouched by the Florida heat. Olivia settled into the seat and asked, "What do you think the villa would be worth as a legacy property?" "The last appraisal was $2,800,000, I said. "What does that have to do with my kidney?" "For the foundation," Olivia said. "A place where patient families could stay." Simon adjusted his cuff. "Gift of Tomorrow needs something permanent, Grant. Something connected to Eleanor." "We just discussed surgery," I said, "and you are discussing my house." Olivia's mouth tightened. "I am trying to think about what survives us." I blamed fear. Fear can make decent people sound cruel. That was what I told myself while Simon closed the door between us. 2 days later, they came to the villa after sunset. The Gulf pressed a low roar against the windows. Olivia placed her test results on the dining table. Then she removed the blue bracelet and laid it across the page. "I have been reading about the scar," she said, "and complications. I still want children someday. You have the right to say no," I told her. Simon remained near the doorway, holding a cream-colored envelope. Olivia traced one finger along the bracelet. "You say that now, but the moment I refuse, I become the daughter who killed her father." "No," I said. "You become my daughter who made a decision about her own body." Her gaze lifted. Nothing wet or tender remained in it. "Then prove it," Olivia said. "How?" I asked. "Promise the villa to Gift of Tomorrow." The waves struck the seawall below us. Somewhere in the kitchen, the old refrigerator motor shuddered awake. Olivia waited, while the smell of lemon polish and Simon's expensive cologne thickened the room. "You want the house in exchange for returning to the donor process," I said. "I want security," Olivia replied. "Security for whom?" I asked. "For the work Mom started through me." "Your mother did not start your foundation," I said. Olivia pushed back her chair. "She inspired it." "You used her name," I said. "That is not the same thing." Simon stepped forward. "Grant, nobody is forcing you to do anything." I looked at the envelope in his hand. "Then take that paper and leave." Olivia's face changed with startling calm. "Die faster, bastard. I will not ruin my body for you." The refrigerator stopped humming. For 1 second, the only sound was the surf striking concrete. My fingers went numb against the table. Olivia pushed the bracelet toward me. "Sign the gift letter. Amend the trust. Then, I will speak to my donor advocate again." Simon placed the envelope beside my hand. A fountain pen rolled against the wood and stopped near my thumb. I should have thrown them out. Instead, I stared at my daughter and saw every smaller betrayal I had paid to erase. The credit card debt after college, the charity gala invoice she called an accounting misunderstanding, the vendor complaint I settled so her first campaign would not collapse. Each rescue had taught her the same lesson. Her father would pay. The next afternoon, we sat in my attorney's office. Martin Keene opened the trust amendment and looked directly at me. "Grant, this changes your trust instructions. It does not transfer the house today." Olivia shifted beside Simon. "We understand," Martin continued. "The villa remains under your control. After your death, the charitable gift depends on an independent audit, approval by the Foundation's disinterested board members, and use of the property solely as temporary lodging for transplant families. It cannot be sold or pledged as collateral under these instructions." Simon's jaw tightened for half a second. His thumb pressed into the edge of the envelope until the paper bent. Martin noticed too. He closed his hand over the remaining pages before Simon could reach them. I noticed both men. I did nothing. Martin slid the signature page toward me. "You may revoke this amendment while you are competent. Do not sign because anyone has connected it to medical care." Olivia reached for my wrist. "Dad, once this is done, I will go back to the advocate." Her hand was warm. Mine shook beneath it. My eyes burned, and a tear struck the signature line before the pen did. "Say it clearly," I told her. "I will reopen the conversation," Olivia said. "I promise." I signed. Martin kept the original amendment. Olivia received only a copy of the charitable gift letter. She folded it into the envelope, as if she had just been handed the deed. That evening, the transplant coordinator called. "Grant, I am sorry," the woman said. "The living donor route is no longer available." "Did Olivia withdraw?" I asked. "I cannot discuss another person's private decision," she replied. "Your deceased donor listing remains active, and your treatment team will continue supporting you." I thanked her because she had done nothing wrong. 10 minutes later, my family message thread flashed. Simon had posted a screenshot, then deleted it almost immediately. My old work had trained me to capture what vanished. I saved the image before the screen refreshed. The screenshot came from a Gift of Tomorrow work chat. Olivia's name appeared above a message stamped 8:14 that morning, hours before she entered my dining room. "I withdrew at 8:14 this morning. Get him to sign before he checks." Below it, Simon had replied, "Once he signs, we can sell the legacy to the donors." I enlarged the image until the letters blurred. Olivia had not traded her kidney for my house. She had already kept the kidney. All she wanted was the house. I called Olivia before the screenshot had finished saving. She answered on the 4th ring. Music and clinking glassware drifted behind her, the polished sounds of a restaurant I had probably paid for without knowing it. "Where are you?" I asked. "At dinner," Olivia said. "Why?" I saw the message Simon deleted. Silence replaced the music for one breath. Then, her chair scraped against the floor. "What message?" Olivia asked. "The one that said you withdrew before you came to my house. Before you promised to speak to the donor advocate again. Before I signed anything." A door closed on her end. The restaurant noise disappeared. "You took a screenshot of a private work conversation?" Olivia asked. Simon posted it in our family thread. By accident. That does not make the words untrue. Olivia exhaled slowly. Withdrawing did not mean I could never reconsider. You had already decided. I was scared. You said you would return to the process if I signed. I said I would reopen the conversation. Her careful wording landed harder than another insult. Every promise had been trimmed until nothing remained inside it. Simon's voice came through the phone. Grant, this call needs to end. Stay out of it. I said. I cannot, Simon replied. You are pressuring a potential donor after she exercised her right to withdraw. That is exactly why living donor protections exist. I never challenged her right to refuse. You confronted her with private medical information, Simon said. You are angry because her body did not become available to you. Olivia gave a small, wounded sound, as if Simon had uncovered a cruelty she had been too loyal to name. I signed the trust amendment because she connected it to returning. I said. That is your interpretation, Simon replied. No, I said. That was your plan. Simon's tone stayed smooth. Do not contact Olivia about donation again. Any further pressure will be documented. The line went dead. For several seconds, I stood in my kitchen with the phone pressed to my ear. The ice maker dropped a handful of cubes into its bin. Their sharp rattle sounded like applause from another room. By noon the next day, Olivia had made her first move. June found the video before I did. She came into the study carrying her tablet against her chest. You should see this before someone calls you about it, June said. Olivia sat in front of a pale blue wall on the screen. Her eyes were swollen just enough to look sincere. The bracelet was back on her wrist. My father is very ill, Olivia told the camera. When doctors learned I was a match, I was ready to donate, but Dad refused to let me risk my future. The video cut to my voice. I will never allow my daughter to do that. The sentence sounded complete. It was my voice, my face, my dining room, but those words had not belonged together. Weeks earlier, during a foundation interview, Olivia had asked what I would say to parents who demanded sacrifice from their children. My full answer had been simple. I will never ask Olivia to risk her life for me. I will never allow my daughter to believe love requires her to do that. They had removed the middle. The remaining pieces made me sound controlling and proud. Olivia returned to the screen. I begged him to reconsider, she said. He told me his decision was final, so I am respecting his wishes, even though it may cost me my father. A comment appeared beneath the video. What kind of man would rather die than let his daughter save him? Another followed. She deserves a father who values her life. June muted the tablet. Give Martin the screenshot, she said. Give him this video too. I will. Today, I looked toward the windows. Beyond the glass, sunlight flashed across the gulf, bright enough to hurt. I need to speak to Olivia once more. June placed the tablet on my desk. You keep giving her one more chance because you think the next version of her will be the daughter you remember. She is still my daughter, and Simon is still using your silence to edit you. Her words stayed with me after she left. That evening, Gift of Tomorrow announced Grant's final gift. My wedding photograph appeared first. Eleanor stood beside me in a simple ivory dress, laughing at something outside the frame. Olivia's voice spoke over the image. My mother taught us that a home should shelter more than one family. The next photograph showed Olivia as a child on the villa steps. Then came hospital footage, foundation galas, patient families, and finally an aerial view of my property. A gold banner appeared across the image. Committed legacy asset. Olivia never said the trust had transferred. She did not need to. The words were chosen to let donors assume the house already belonged to the foundation. A sponsor named the Hollis Family Health Fund promised to match new donations up to $800,000 if Gift of Tomorrow verified the committed property and passed its annual independent audit. Money began moving across the screen. $10,000, $25,000, $40,000. The total climbed while Olivia described rooms where transplant families would sleep for free. She pointed toward my study and called it a future counseling space. My bedroom became a donor recovery suite. Eleanor's garden became a memorial courtyard. I watched strangers purchase pieces of a house they did not own. Then the campaign page changed. A green check appeared beside the words, Property commitment received. My phone rang. Martin Keene's name lit the screen. Tell me, you did not authorize that statement. Martin said. I did not. Your trust amendment is conditional and revocable. The foundation has no present ownership interest. Can they call it committed? They can say many things, Martin replied. The question is whether those words are being used to create a false impression for donors. I looked at the climbing total. They already have. By my next dialysis session, the video had spread beyond Olivia's followers. The machine beside me pulsed with a steady mechanical rhythm. Warm plastic pressed against my forearm where the tubing had been secured. The room smelled of antiseptic, warmed blankets, and the bitter coffee a nurse had left near the station. 2 chairs away, a woman held her phone toward her husband. That poor girl, she said. She was willing to give him a kidney. Her husband glanced at my curtained station without recognizing me. Some fathers need to control everything. The woman lowered her voice, though not enough. Imagine choosing death just to keep your daughter from having a scar. My mouth tasted metallic. Each word I could have used felt too heavy to lift. The nurse adjusted my blanket. Are you all right, Mr. Whitmore? Yes, I said. My answer sounded like the edited version of my life. When treatment ended, Simon was waiting outside with a leather folder. You look tired, Simon said. You look prepared. He held out the folder. This grants gift of tomorrow permission to use existing photographs, interviews, and documentary footage for the campaign. You already use them. This makes the permission clear. I opened the contract. The rights were broad, permanent, and transferable. Olivia's name appeared as chief executive. Simon had signed as operating director. A third name sat at the bottom of every page. Bright Harbor Media. I had seen it before, not in Olivia's campaign. In a restricted grant report delivered to my office 6 months earlier. The Whitmore Family Trust had given gift of tomorrow $900,000 for temporary housing near Sarasota Memorial. Bright Harbor had appeared on one invoice for video production. I remembered questioning the amount. Simon had said donor education required professional work. Now, the same company controlled my image. I am not signing, I said. Simon's smile thinned. Refusing will make the campaign harder. Good. It will also make you look vindictive. You have already taken care of that. I handed the folder back and went home. The old grant report was in a locked cabinet beneath Eleanor's letters. I carried it to the dining table where Olivia had left the blue bracelet. Page after page listed lodging, transportation, and patient support. Bright Harbor appeared near the end. Video production, $62,000. 2 lines below, the name appeared again. Campaign logistics, $48,000. Then a third time, family transportation coordination, $36,000. All 3 payments had been approved on the same day. All 3 had gone to the same company, and every one of them carried Simon's initials. The 3 Bright Harbor invoices stayed on my dining table until dawn. Their totals differed, but Simon's initials leaned across each approval box in the same hard blue ink. Video production, campaign logistics, family transportation coordination, 3 descriptions for 1 company, all approved on the same afternoon. I photographed every page and called Martin before dialysis. Do not accuse anyone yet, Martin said. We need the underlying records. They came from a restricted housing grant. That gives you rights under the grant agreement, he replied. It does not give you permission to search the foundation's private systems. Then we use the rights I have. We will. Carefully. The dialysis center smelled of bleach, warmed plastic, and stale coffee. A cuff tightened around my arm while the machine began its steady pull. Half an hour into treatment, my phone vibrated against the tray. June's name filled the screen. Grant, she whispered. Your daughter is filming in the living room. The tubing taped to my arm tugged when I shifted. She is doing what? Simon brought 2 camera operators and a woman carrying flowers. Olivia told me to remove your family pictures because the room looks too personal. It is my living room. I told her that. What did she say? June lowered her voice. She said the house needs to look ready for its next purpose. A man spoke behind her. I recognized Simon's measured tone. Do not argue with them, I said. Put the photographs somewhere safe. I will deal with Olivia after treatment. I am not taking down Eleanor's wedding picture. Please. Silence held. All right, June said. But Simon told me I could be replaced if I obstruct foundation work. He does not employ you, I reminded him. The call ended. For the next 3 hours, the machine cleaned my blood, while strangers rearranged my home for a future that required me to disappear. June called again, as the nurse removed the needles. This time her breathing was uneven. There was smoke, she said. Is the house on fire? No. The fireplace. Someone burned papers. In this heat? I smelled it after everyone left. Simon was the last person in the room. I pressed gauze to my arm. Do not touch anything with your hands. Take pictures first. Wide shots, then close ones. Keep the time visible. I already did. What do you see? A piece of a letter under the grate. One corner did not burn. There is also a memory card beside the wastebasket. Leave the card where it is. I have clean printer paper and storage bags. Use the edge of the paper to lift each item. Separate bags. Write the time and place outside. Then call Evelyn Ross. June paused. The accountant from your hospital documentary? She is a forensic auditor now. I will give her your number. Years earlier, Evelyn had explained a billing fraud case on camera. She rejected every dramatic line my producer suggested and corrected me twice. That was why I trusted her. By the time I reached the villa, Evelyn's gray sedan was outside. June stood at the kitchen island with 2 sealed bags and her phone beside them. Ash darkened her cuff. The room carried the bitter odor of charred paper. I did not open the card, June said. Evelyn wore thin gloves and photographed the bags. Tell me everything from the moment you smelled smoke. June did. Evelyn wrote each answer, then had us sign beneath the time. The card stays secured until I create a forensic image and record its digital fingerprint, Evelyn said. Nobody opens files directly from the original. Through the clouded plastic around the burned letter, I saw a name. Teresa Morgan. The sight carried me back to a foundation gala 2 years earlier. Paul Morgan had appeared in a video from a hospital bed, thanking Olivia for promising to keep his family near the transplant center. Their campaign had raised more money than any patient story that year. The surviving lines of Teresa's letter were blistered brown. You raised money using Paul's final months. The first $75,000 was promised for our housing and care. We received 12. June gripped the island. I saw Simon put envelopes into the fire. I thought they were old invitations. Evelyn placed the bag inside a rigid envelope. This is a lead. It is not proof of where the money went. It is enough to find Teresa, I said. 2 days later, Teresa agreed to meet at a diner near Sarasota Memorial. She arrived wearing a faded navy cardigan despite the heat and placed a thick folder on the table. I am not here because I think your foundation killed my husband, Teresa said. Paul was very sick. I know what took him. I understand. What I do not understand is why your daughter filmed him when he could barely sit up, raised $420,000 with his name, and stopped answering after the cameras left. Teresa opened the folder. The campaign page promised that the first $75,000 would be restricted for the Morgan family's lodging, transportation, and home care. Emails from Olivia repeated the commitment. Bank statements showed 4 payments, totaling $12,000. Did the foundation pay any hospital bills directly? I asked. No. They paid 11 weeks at a motel and 1 transportation invoice. Teresa tapped the page. When I asked about the balance, Simon said administrative costs had increased. Did you sign anything allowing the restricted amount to change? No. Her voice remained level, making every word heavier. Paul spent his last good afternoon repeating lines for Olivia's cameraman, she said. She asked him to say, "Gift of tomorrow had protected us." That night, the motel manager slid an overdue notice under our door. I could not touch the coffee. I funded the housing program, I said. Then you should have watched where the money went. She was right. Teresa pulled out another email. 4 other families were copied here. All of us were told the same thing. Be patient. Do not confuse donors with public complaints. I read the names. I had seen every family in Olivia's videos. My silence had not protected my daughter. It had protected whatever she and Simon were doing. That evening, Evelyn called me to her office. She had made a working copy of the memory card without altering the original. Most files showed ordinary footage from the villa. One clip ended with a camera operator asking whether the housing totals should be included in Olivia's statement. Simon's voice came from outside the frame. Cut the money discussion. Donors need emotion, not accounting. The next file had been deleted, but part remained. Evelyn stopped the playback. This supports concealment, she said. It does not prove where the money went. We need the production cloud and the camera operator. My phone rang. Olivia did not wait for a greeting. You met Teresa Morgan. I did. June gave you her letter. Simon tried to burn it. You do not know that, Olivia snapped. June is filling your head with suspicions because she wants you dependent on her. June did not promise the Morgans $75,000. Programs have expenses. Then show me the accounting. You are not on the board. I funded the restricted grant. Her voice sharpened. You are using money to force your way into my work because I would not give you part of my body. Come to the house, I said. Say that to my face. She arrived 20 minutes later with Simon. Olivia entered without knocking. Her gaze went first to the empty fireplace, then to June. You stole foundation property, Olivia said. June stood beside Eleanor's wedding photograph. I saved a woman's letter from your fire. Get out of this house, Olivia replied. She works for me, I said. Then fire her. No. She is manipulating a sick man for your trust in your house. I stepped between them. My legs still felt hollow from dialysis, but my voice held. Leave my home, Olivia. Her lips parted. It was the first time I had ordered my daughter out. Simon touched her elbow. Olivia pulled away and looked around the room at the photographs she had tried to remove and the fireplace where the letter had survived. You still think this is your home, she said. The public already thinks it belongs to the foundation. After they left, Evelyn called. The memory card is only a lead, she said. The bank records will tell us whether this is cruelty or fraud. The bank records arrived the next morning through Martin's secure portal. No one had stolen them. No one had slipped into the foundation after dark. The right to see them had been written into the restricted grant agreement I signed 2 years earlier, back when I still believed a signature from Olivia meant what it appeared to mean. Martin called while I sat at the dining table beside Teresa's burned letter. The accounting provider has confirmed your audit request, he said. They will release only the records tied to the housing grant. Not the whole foundation? No. Your contract gives you the right to inspect how that grant was used. It does not give you ownership of every file Olivia controls. What if the grant records point somewhere else? Then Evelyn takes that evidence to the board. I rubbed the tender skin inside my elbow where yesterday's needles had entered. And if the board refuses, then we discuss regulators and law enforcement. Not before we have verified facts. By afternoon, Evelyn had transformed my study into a room of labeled folders. The original documents remained with their custodians. What lay on my desk were certified copies from the accounting provider, bank confirmations, and a vendor list exported by the outside bookkeeping company. June brought coffee and stopped when she saw the rows of paper. Did they really send all of that? She asked. Only the part Grant paid for, Evelyn replied. She slid one page toward me. The grant ledger showed money leaving the restricted account in neat, respectable lines. Patient transportation, temporary lodging, family outreach. Each description sounded compassionate until Evelyn placed the corresponding bank record beside it. Bright Harbor Media had received 3 payments. A second company, Harbor Path Consulting, had received 4. A third, Blue Harbor Outreach, had received 5. Different names, I said. Same mailing address, Evelyn replied. Same commercial mailbox. Same contact number on the vendor forms. She tapped the emergency contact field. Simon Vale. The room seemed to narrow around that name. Can he own all 3? June asked. Not according to the disclosures filed with the foundation, Evelyn said. None of these vendors was identified as related to an officer. She opened another certified record. One payment described as patient transportation had covered a luxury sport utility vehicle leased for Olivia. A family outreach expense paid for 3 nights at a beachfront resort during a weekend when no patient event had occurred. A stylist invoice had been divided into smaller charges and labeled educational materials. Maybe the car was used for foundation work, I said. Evelyn looked at me over the rim of her glasses. Then there should be mileage records, board approval, and a business purpose. There are none. What about the resort? 2 guests, Olivia and Simon. June set the coffee down without touching her own cup. I stared at the numbers. None was large enough to explain the entire missing amount. Together, they revealed something worse. This had not been one desperate withdrawal made during a crisis. It had been a habit. Evelyn turned another page. At the bottom sat Olivia's signature. The form certified that the expenses were necessary, properly documented, and free from personal benefit. She signed this? I asked. 14 months ago, Evelyn said. Long before your transplant evaluation. My daughter could no longer claim every lie began when Simon pressured her over the villa. The board meeting was called for the following afternoon. Gift of Tomorrow had 5 voting directors. Naomi Bell chaired the meeting from the head of a long glass table. 2 members joined by video. Olivia sat to Naomi's right. Simon beside her. Evelyn and Martin occupied the opposite side. I took the last chair, close enough to hear the ventilation system breathe above us. Naomi folded her hands. This is not a trial, she said. Our purpose is to determine whether the evidence justifies a full independent audit and immediate preservation of foundation records. Simon nodded solemnly. We welcome appropriate oversight. We do not welcome a donor using money to punish his daughter for refusing surgery. Olivia lowered her eyes. Naomi turned to me. Grant, before we review the financial material, Simon has submitted a recording he believes is relevant to your motive. The screen behind her lit up. I recognized the foundation conference room. Security footage showed me standing across from Olivia after the donor process ended. My face looked gray. One hand struck the table. You promised me. The recorded version of me shouted. The clip stopped before Olivia's answer. Simon rested one palm on the table. This is the pressure Olivia endured. That camera recorded the entire conversation, I said. The remainder concerned private medical matters. Simon replied. You selected the piece that helped you. I selected the part showing intimidation. One board member on the screen frowned at me. Did you strike the table? Yes, I said. I lost my temper after learning Olivia had used a promise she had already withdrawn to obtain my signature. Olivia's voice broke. I was terrified, Dad. You were terrified before or after you sent Simon the message telling him to get me to sign. Martin touched my sleeve before I could say more. Naomi's expression hardened. We will not litigate the family dispute here. For several minutes, I felt the meeting slipping away. Olivia cried without making a sound. Simon spoke about donor autonomy, emotional coercion, and the danger of letting a wealthy benefactor control a charitable organization. Every sentence contained enough truth to protect the lie around it. Then Evelyn stood. She did not mention kidneys or daughters. She placed 3 vendor forms beneath the document camera. These companies have different names, Evelyn said. They share a mailbox, a telephone number, and an undisclosed contact connected to the chief operating officer. Next came the invoices. Several invoice numbers repeat. Charges were divided into amounts below the threshold requiring board review. Restricted patient funds paid personal expenses without prior approval. Simon leaned forward. Those conclusions are premature. Evelyn displayed the bank confirmations. The transfers are not conclusions. Naomi looked toward Olivia. Were you aware the vehicle lease was paid from the Morgan housing grant? Olivia wiped one cheek. Simon handled vendors. That was not my question, Naomi said. I knew the foundation covered transportation connected to my work. Did you know the payment was coded as transportation for patient families? Olivia glanced at Simon. He answered for her. The coding was performed by an outside bookkeeper. Evelyn lifted a certification bearing Olivia's signature. The coding was certified by the chief executive. Silence settled across the glass table. One director requested a private session. Naomi refused. The foundation's officers are entitled to hear the evidence supporting the motion, she said. The vote came 15 minutes later. 3 directors approved a full forensic audit, immediate preservation of electronic records, suspension of all transfers to the 3 harbor vendors, and removal of Simon's authority to delete or alter Foundation data. 2 directors abstained, pending further review. Simon remained in his seat. Olivia remained chief executive. No one was arrested. No one confessed. Yet the look Simon gave, Evelyn told me, he understood the walls had moved closer. Outside the conference room, Olivia caught my arm. "You did this to humiliate me," she said. I asked where the patient's money went. "You brought strangers into my foundation. They are auditors, Olivia. This organization is my life. And Teresa's husband became your advertising." Her fingers tightened around my sleeve. "You wanted a kidney. When I said no, you decided to destroy everything I built." I pulled my arm free. "If it was built with restricted patient money, I did not destroy it." Simon opened the conference room door behind her. "Come on," he said. "Do not give him another scene he can use." Olivia followed him, without turning toward me. Evelyn waited until their footsteps disappeared. Then she carried 2 folders into the empty conference room and placed them in front of me. The first contained vendor registrations, transfer records, and Simon's approvals. The second held expense certifications, annual compliance statements, and Olivia's signatures. I opened the second folder. 8 months earlier, Olivia had certified that Gift of Tomorrow had no undisclosed related party transactions and had used no restricted funds for private benefit. Her signature was steady. Eleanor's name appeared in the foundation, letterhead above it. "She may not have designed the system," I said. Evelyn sat across from me. "That is possible. She may have trusted Simon. That is also possible." I turned another page. Olivia had signed again, beneath a list that included Bright Harbor. Evelyn closed the first folder, then the second. "You can still love her," she said. "You cannot audit around her." Evelyn's words followed me home. "You can still love her. You cannot audit around her." The next morning, Naomi called before I left for dialysis. "The board's preservation order is active," Naomi said. "Bright Harbor's contract requires the company to release raw campaign footage and project files when the foundation conducts a compliance review. Will Simon be able to stop it?" "He can object," Naomi replied. "He cannot legally erase what the board has ordered preserved." By noon, Evelyn had secured a conference room at the foundation's outside accounting firm. Martin sat beside her. A camera operator named Caleb Ruiz joined us by video from Tampa, his face pale beneath fluorescent light. Caleb held up a printed production log. "I recorded the interview with Mr. Whitmore," he said. "The camera generated a digital fingerprint when the file was uploaded. The copy, Bright Harbor, gave the foundation matches that original fingerprint." Evelyn played the raw footage. There I was, in Olivia's studio, thinner than I remembered, sitting beneath a soft light while my daughter watched from behind a monitor. A producer asked, "Would you accept a kidney from Olivia?" My recorded voice answered, "I will never ask my daughter to risk her life for me. She has the right to decide what happens to her own body." The file continued. "If Olivia says no," I added, "that answer belongs to her. Love does not become love only when someone bleeds for you." Evelyn stopped the video. Then she played the version Olivia published. "I will never allow my daughter to do that." The edited sentence had been built from pieces taken several seconds apart. My pauses were gone. My defense of Olivia had become proof that I controlled her. Caleb swallowed. "I did not make that cut." "Who requested it?" Martin asked. "Simon sent the edit notes," Caleb said. Olivia approved the final version in the project portal. Evelyn opened the approval history. Olivia's name appeared beside the words, "Publish," as revised. The room felt airless. "Keep going," I said. A second video opened. It had never been published. Olivia stood behind the editor, pointing at the screen. "Remove the part where he says I can decide," she said in the recording. "That weakens the sacrifice story." The editor asked, "What do you want the campaign called?" Olivia folded her arms. "Grant's Final Gift." Simon's voice came from somewhere behind the camera. "He is still stable on dialysis." "That does not create urgency," Olivia replied. "A dying father does." No one in the conference room spoke. The woman on the screen wore the blue bracelet and discussed my approaching death as a marketing condition. Evelyn closed the player. There is more. The nonprofit's enterprise archive had preserved work messages even after users deleted them from their screens. The board's administrator exported the relevant channel and certified the archive source. Evelyn projected the first message. Olivia had written it at 8:14 on the morning she came to my villa. I withdrew this morning. Get him to sign before he checks. The next message came 32 minutes later. No house, no kidney. Do not let him turn this into another lecture. Simon replied. Once the legacy asset is public, the matching donors will stay. My fingers closed around the edge of the table. For weeks, part of me had searched for a version of events in which Simon frightened Olivia, confused her, or placed the words in her mouth. The archive left no room for that daughter. She had withdrawn first. She had set the price. She had designed the lie. Martin turned off the projector. Grant, you do not have to confront her today. Yes, I said. I do. Olivia agreed to meet at the villa only after I promised Simon would not be present. She arrived wearing dark glasses and kept them on inside. June opened the door, but Olivia walked past her without speaking. I waited in the dining room. The blue bracelet lay beside Teresa's scorched letter. Olivia saw both. What do you want? She asked. The truth without a camera. I have already told you the truth. Did you know Gift of Tomorrow was short of money? Her jaw tightened. Every nonprofit has cash flow problems. Did you know personal expenses were charged to patient outreach? Simon said the expenses would be reimbursed after the Hollis matching grant. Did you approve them? I approved temporary coding. There is no such thing as temporary truth. Olivia removed her glasses. The skin beneath her eyes looked bruised from sleeplessness. You have no idea what it costs to keep that foundation visible, she said. Donors do not give because a spreadsheet is clean. They give because I make them feel something. You made them feel something using Paul Morgan. We helped his family. You promised $75,000. They received 12. That was Simon's department. You signed the certification. He told me the rest would be covered. And the car? I traveled constantly for the foundation. The resort? A donor strategy weekend. There were no donors there. Olivia looked toward the windows. You came here to make me confess to words your auditor wrote for you. I came to give you one chance to say what was yours. She turned back. Fine. I knew some expenses were personal. Simon said we would replace the money when the match arrived. I knew the reports were cleaned up. That is how organizations survive. Her voice had lost its wounded softness. This was the woman from the editing room. What about the kidney? I asked. Olivia stared at the bracelet. You had already withdrawn when you asked for my house. You would not have signed if I told you. That is called fraud. That is called knowing my father. Did Simon make you send no house, no kidney? For the first time, fear moved across her face. You read private messages. The Foundation archive preserved them. Olivia pushed away from the table. You are using investigators against your own daughter. I am asking whether those were your words. She snatched the bracelet and held it in her fist. You spent my whole life deciding what goodness should look like, she said. Mom died, and you turned grief into documentaries and donations. I learned from you. Your mother's death did not teach you to sell mine. Olivia's fingers opened. The bracelet dropped onto the table. I am not apologizing for refusing surgery, she said. I never asked you to. You wanted me ashamed. I wanted you honest. She walked to the door. Before leaving, Olivia looked over her shoulder. If you destroy the foundation, every family depending on it will know you chose revenge over them. After the door closed, June picked up the bracelet with a tissue and placed it beside me. She still thinks the foundation is a shield, June said. No, I replied. She thinks the patients are. The following afternoon, Naomi convened an emergency board session without Olivia or Simon. 3 directors signed a formal referral to federal investigators. Board counsel sent preservation notices to the foundation's banks, outside accountant, production vendor, and the 3 harbor companies. Naomi's voice shook only once. We are not declaring anyone guilty, she said. We are reporting verified evidence and protecting records. Martin slid the signed referral into an envelope. From this point forward, nobody contacts personal accounts opens private devices, or asks employees to obtain anything outside normal access. Evelyn nodded. The audit continues through company systems and certified custodians. My phone rang before the meeting ended. The transplant center's number appeared on the screen. Dr. Shah spoke. When I answered, "Grant, a deceased donor kidney has become available. The compatibility is strong, but we need you here immediately." Every person at the table went still. "How long do I have?" I asked. "Leave now." Evelyn's phone vibrated as I stood. She glanced at the message and caught my sleeve. "Simon paid a deposit on a charter boat," she said. "Sarasota to the Bahamas. Departure is scheduled for late morning, immediately after the Legacy House event. Send it to Martin. You should see the supporting record. I should get to the hospital." June drove, while I held the blue bracelet in my palm. At the transplant center, nurses moved quickly around me. Consent forms passed beneath my hand. Martin called once to say the referral had been received. Evelyn sent no details, only 4 words. "We have the records." Hours later, under white operating lights, an anesthesiologist placed a mask over my face. I opened my hand. The bracelet left a damp blue circle against my skin. When I woke, pain tore through my abdomen. A nurse shouted for help. Warmth spread beneath the bandage. Dr. Shah appeared above me, already pulling on gloves. "Grant, stay with me," she said. "We have to take you back in. You are bleeding." Pain reached me before memory did. It pressed across my chest and burned through my abdomen. A monitor chimed beside my head. Air hissed through a tube beneath my nose. Something dry and bitter coated my tongue. When I tried to move, a hand closed around my shoulder. "Stay still, Grant," Dr. Shah said. "You are in intensive care." Her face floated above me beneath white ceiling lights. A surgical cap covered her hair. Shadows darkened the skin below her eyes. "The kidney?" My voice came out as a scrape. "It is producing urine," Dr. Shah said. "That is good. You had post-operative bleeding and needed a second surgery. During the procedure, your heart stopped briefly. We restored circulation." The words arrived one at a time. "Second surgery. Heart stopped. Restored." "How long?" I asked. "Less than 2 minutes," Dr. Shah replied. "You are stable now, but stable does not mean ready to leave. Your body has been through major trauma." I turned toward the chair beside the bed. June sat there with both hands wrapped around a paper cup. She looked as if she had not slept. Eleanor's old gray cardigan hung from her shoulders. "Where is Olivia?" I asked. June lowered her gaze. Dr. Shah checked the screen above me. "I will give you a few minutes. Do not try to sit up." After she left, June moved closer. "She has not come," June said. "Did anyone call her?" "The hospital called the emergency contact number you approved before surgery." Simon answered Olivia's phone. My chest tightened beneath the bandage. "What did they tell him?" "That you had complications. That your heart stopped. That you were revived. That you survived the second operation." "Then why is Olivia not here?" June unlocked her phone, but did not hand it to me yet. "The Legacy House announcement was already scheduled for tomorrow," she said. "Simon changed it into a memorial." I stared at her. "My memorial?" "Olivia posted a trial livestream an hour ago. Less than a day had passed since my operation. My daughter had already accepted my death without speaking to a doctor." June placed the phone on the rolling tray and enlarged the video. Olivia stood in my living room, beside a framed photograph of Eleanor and me. The room had been stripped of the family pictures June had restored after the earlier filming. White lilies covered the fireplace mantel. Her eyes were red. "Simon received the call from the hospital," Olivia told the camera. "My father did not survive the complications after his transplant." My fingers curled against the blanket. She continued. "Tomorrow's Legacy House announcement will now honor Grant Whitmore's final act of love. The beach villa he pledged will become a home for transplant families." The video ended before any mention of a funeral home, a body, or a death certificate. "She believed him," I said. June's mouth hardened. "She believed. What gave her the house?" A secure video call arrived from Naomi. Evelyn appeared beside her in the Foundation conference room. Martin joined from his office. Naomi spoke first. "Grant, we can stop if you are not well enough." "Show me." Evelyn shared a certified export from the Foundation's Enterprise archive. The message had been sent from Simon's account to Caleb Ruiz's production manager 15 minutes after the hospital call. Grant survived the second surgery. Do not tell Olivia until she signs tomorrow. Beneath it, another message appeared. Change the event language. Memorial performs better than uncertainty. I read both twice. Martin opened a separate document. The hospital produced a routine nursing call note to you as the patient. It records that Simon was informed you had been revived and were stable. Can we use it? I asked. It establishes what the hospital told him, Martin replied. Your medical information is yours to disclose. Naomi leaned toward the camera. Simon knows you are alive. Olivia may not. She posted that I died. Less than 3 hours after Simon spoke to the hospital, Evelyn said. She never called the nursing desk. She never asked Dr. Shaw for confirmation. June folded her arms. She called a florist. The wound beneath my gown pulled when I breathed. What is Simon asking her to sign? I asked. Evelyn opened another archived file. It was a management representation letter prepared for the outside accountant. The document stated that Olivia had reviewed the Foundation's financial disclosures, verified the listed vendors, and approved every material statement connected to the Legacy House campaign. This does not erase Simon's responsibility, Evelyn said. His transfers, vendor records, and messages remain his. But the letter would help him claim Olivia personally approved every disclosure. A message to the Bright Harbor manager sat beside the draft. Once she signs on camera, I can show the board every statement came from her office. My pulse quickened. The monitor answered with a faster warning tone. June reached for the nurse button. I am fine, I said. You are not, June replied. A nurse entered, checked the monitor, and asked everyone on the call to wait while she adjusted my medication. Cool liquid moved into my vein. The ceiling softened around the edges. When the nurse left, Martin spoke. The federal referral is active. Investigators have requested that the board preserve the status quo and not alert Simon before they execute the warrants already under review. So, we let the memorial continue? We do not let fraud continue, Naomi said. The donation portal is frozen. No new contributions can process. The Hollis matching grant has been placed on hold. Simon's transfer authority is suspended. What about Olivia? Naomi looked tired. I have another director ready to sign an administrative suspension at the appropriate moment. Permanent removal requires a full board vote. Appropriate moment, I repeated. After Simon cannot destroy evidence or run, Martin said. Outside my room, a cart rattled past. Somewhere down the hall, a patient coughed. The ordinary hospital sounds made the conversation feel more unreal. My daughter is preparing to mourn me on camera, I said. And we are discussing timing. We are discussing how to stop Simon without creating more victims, Evelyn replied. Dr. Shaw returned and listened from the doorway. You are not leaving this floor, she said when the call ended. I need to be at my house tomorrow. No, Dr. Shaw. No, she repeated. You had a transplant, internal bleeding, a second surgery, and cardiac arrest. Your immune system is suppressed. A crowd could put you back in this bed with an infection you might not survive. I cannot let Olivia tell the world I am dead. You may speak from here if your blood pressure remains stable, Dr. Shaw said. A short video call. No transport. No audience in this room. No performance that lasts longer than your body allows. June looked at me. That is enough. It did not feel like enough. Olivia would stand inside my home, wearing grief like a costume. Simon would remain beside her until the moment her signature served him. Still, a living voice did not need to cross a crowded room to destroy a false funeral. Arrange the call, I said. Naomi scheduled a secure connection through equipment owned by the Foundation board, not Bright Harbor. Martin would remain with her. Evelyn would preserve the live stream. Teresa had not yet agreed to appear, and nobody would use her story without permission. June left the hospital that evening to prepare the villa. Olivia had called her back, asking for the comforting image of a loyal family housekeeper at the memorial. Before leaving, June adjusted my blanket. Do not call Olivia tonight, she said. She thinks I am dead. She had a hospital number. She chose flowers. After midnight, A voicemail appeared on my phone. Olivia's voice trembled. Dad, I wish you could see what I am doing with the house. I know you were angry, but tomorrow people will understand that you loved me. I will make your final gift mean something. My thumb hovered above the call button. One call could stop her humiliation. One call could also warn Simon that his lie had failed. I put the phone face down. Near dawn, June called from the villa. Her whisper was almost lost beneath voices in the background. Grant, a locksmith is waiting at the service gate, she said. Olivia ordered him to change every exterior lock after the memorial. Do not let him touch anything. I asked for a death certificate and trustee authorization. He has neither, so he is waiting. A door closed near June. Her breathing stopped for a moment. What happened? I asked. Simon just came downstairs, she whispered. He put his passport inside his jacket. Then, another sound reached the phone. A set of car keys, turning in his hand. The keys clicked again through June's phone. Move away from him, I whispered. Do not let Simon see you watching. Fabric brushed the receiver. A door opened, then closed. June's breathing returned. I am in the pantry, she said. The locksmith is still outside. Simon told the driver to keep the car ready. Did he say where he is going? Not yet. A monitor beside my bed gave a warning chirp when my pulse climbed. Cool medicine slid through the line taped to my wrist. Dr. Shaw had ordered me to rest. But rest belonged to people whose funerals were not being rehearsed inside their own homes. Keep the locksmith at the gate, I said. Ask for a death certificate and written authority from the trustee. I already did. Do not take anything from Simon. Do not search his coat. Do not follow him. June lowered her voice. I know. The call ended. 10 minutes later, Evelyn appeared on the hospital screen with Naomi and Martin. A row of documents filled the monitor beside their faces. Dr. Shaw stood near my door, arms folded, reminding everyone that my participation would last 30 minutes. Evelyn began with the oldest record. This is the restricted grant agreement, she said. This is the bank transfer into the housing account. These are the payments to Bright Harbor and the related vendors. Each document carried a source, label, and a date. Certified accounting records. Foundation archive. Bank confirmation. Production portal. Nothing came from a stolen phone or a private account. Evelyn moved to Olivia's messages. I withdrew this morning. Get him to sign before he checks. Then came the edited video approval. Olivia's annual certification, Simon's message acknowledging that I had survived, and the charter deposit for a boat leaving Sarasota after the memorial. Is there enough without whatever Olivia signs tomorrow? I asked. Yes, Evelyn replied. The representation letter is not necessary for the referral. It only records what Olivia chooses to claim after receiving another opportunity to tell the truth. Martin leaned closer to his camera. Nobody needs her to commit a new crime. The donation portal will be frozen before the event. The matching grant will not release. No money will move because of tomorrow's statements. Then why let the event continue? Naomi answered. Because Simon believes it is continuing. Investigators are using that expectation to keep him from destroying records or leaving before the warrant team is in position. My chest ached beneath the dressing. So, we let Olivia stand in my house and announce my death. We give her every chance to verify it first. Naomi said. She can call the hospital. She can call Martin. She can ask for a death certificate. She can refuse to sign. She can stop the stream. And if she does none of those things, Naomi's expression did not change. Then the public will see the choice she made. Dr. Shaw tapped her watch. Naomi turned to another camera. 5 small windows appeared on the screen, one for each member of the board. This meeting is confidential, Naomi said. We have verified evidence of restricted fund misuse, undisclosed related vendors, unauthorized private benefit, and interference with record preservation. The motion before us freezes all public donation links, places the Hollis matching grant on hold, removes Simon Vale's transfer authority, and authorizes administrative suspension of both officers upon disclosure of Grant Whitmore's survival. One director asked, "Why delay the suspension?" Martin answered, "Immediate notice may prompt Simon to flee before federal agents execute the warrant." The vote began. Naomi said yes. 2 more voices followed. A 4th director abstained. The fifth asked whether patient services would continue. Existing medical and lodging commitments will be paid through the outside administrator, Naomi said. No family loses approved help because of this action. The final director voted yes. Naomi signed the resolution electronically. Another director countersigned it. The donation portal is frozen now, she said. Evelyn refreshed the campaign page. The bright contribution button changed to a gray message. Donations temporarily unavailable during administrative review. For the first time since Olivia had placed a price on my life, something moved before she could turn it into content. Dr. Shaw ended the call and checked my blood pressure. You are done for 1 hour, she said. I need to speak to Teresa. You need to breathe without arguing. She is being asked to walk into a live stream built from her husband's death. Dr. Shaw studied me, then pointed at the clock. 5 minutes. Audio only. Teresa answered on the first ring. Naomi said you want me at the villa, she said. I want you to decide whether you wish to be there. That is not the same thing. No. Did you write something for me to say? A page rested on my tray. I had spent half the night shaping sentences about Paul, restricted funds, and promises broken. Yes, I admitted. Throw it away. My hand closed over the paper. You are right, I said. I will not become your evidence display, Teresa continued. Olivia already used Paul that way. The donation links are frozen. No money can be collected during the event. The board has placed patient services under an outside administrator. Teresa was silent for several seconds. Will the live stream keep running if Olivia asks them to stop? She asked. The board owns the equipment and archive. June will keep the feed active after the reveal. And I speak in my own words? Yes. Then I will come. After the call, I tore my prepared statement into 4 pieces and dropped them into the hospital trash. An hour later, June sent a photograph from the service gate. The locksmith sat in his van holding an unopened work order. His text beneath the photograph read that he would not alter any lock without trustee authorization or proof of death. June called through an earpiece connected to the board's live stream system. Olivia is rehearsing beside your photograph, she said. She keeps asking whether the camera catches her tears. Where is Simon? In your study. He has 2 phones on the desk and a small travel bag under the chair. Do not enter. I am in the hall. June. I am not searching. The door is open. A man's voice sounded behind her. June greeted him and changed the subject to flower placement without hesitation. When she returned, her whisper was steady. The board's camera is connected. Bright Harbor cannot shut it off from their console. After the reveal, stay near people. I will. A voicemail arrived while June was still speaking. Olivia's name appeared on my screen. June heard the notification. Do not answer until you listen. I played the message aloud. Dad, tomorrow I will stand in the house Mom loved and finish what you started. I wish you could see how many people believe in your final gift. I know our last conversation was ugly, but I forgive you. I hope somehow you know that. The message ended. My thumb found Olivia's number. 1 tap would tell her I was alive. 1 sentence would spare her the moment waiting at the end of her own performance. June spoke softly through the earpiece. Has she called the hospital? No. Has she called Martin? No. Has she asked where your body is? I looked at the dark window above my bed. No. She is not searching for her father, June said. She is preparing his replacement. I closed the call screen. Near sunset, Martin returned by secure video. A federal investigator remained outside the camera frame, identified only by name and agency. The warrant for Simon has been signed, Martin said. It is based on the bank records, enterprise messages, destruction attempt, and charter payment. Agents will not enter the memorial unless public safety requires it. Where are they? At the marina. The charter captain has been instructed not to warn Simon. What about Olivia? No arrest warrant tonight, Martin replied. The board will secure her company devices after suspension. Legal process will continue from there. That distinction mattered. Simon was not being taken because I wanted revenge. Olivia was not being dragged away because she had humiliated me. Every action had to rest on evidence, even when my anger wanted something faster. Night settled outside the hospital. Nurses dimmed the corridor lights. June remained inside the villa, while florists and camera operators finished their work. Just before midnight, her voice returned through my earpiece. Music played faintly behind her. Simon was speaking to someone near the service hall. June waited until his footsteps passed. Then she whispered, "He just told the driver. The moment she finishes, take me to the marina." At 9 the next morning, my funeral began without my body. The hospital room had been darkened, so the camera would not catch glare from the windows. A clean sheet covered the tray beside me. The monitor near my shoulder clicked in a patient rhythm, while cold fluid moved through the line taped to my wrist. Every breath pulled at the incision beneath my gown. Dr. Shaw stood near the door, with her arms crossed. 20 minutes, she said. If your pressure drops, I end the call. I understand, I replied. You said that the last 3 times, Dr. Shaw said. Martin's voice came through the secure speaker. Grant, the board feed is ready. Nobody at the villa can see you until Naomi activates your screen. The tablet showed my living room from a fixed camera near the fireplace. White lilies surrounded a framed photograph of Eleanor and me. A chair had been placed beneath it, empty, except for the blue bracelet Olivia once wore. Guests filled the room in pale clothing. Camera operators moved between them. The microphone on Olivia's dress caught every soft breath she wanted the audience to hear. She stood where Eleanor's piano had once been. My father believed a home should become more than walls, Olivia said. He believed love should outlive us. The comment stream moved along the side of the screen. What a beautiful daughter. Grant raised an angel. His legacy is safe with her. My mouth tasted of metal. Olivia lowered her head. Yesterday, Simon received the call every family fears, Olivia said. My father suffered complications after his transplant. His heart stopped, and he did not come back to us. Her voice cracked exactly where it needed to. Dr. Shaw looked at me. She has not spoken to anyone on your medical team. I know, I said. Olivia pressed 2 fingers beneath one eye. Many people have asked why I did not donate, she continued. The truth is that I begged him to let me. Dad refused because he could not bear the thought of risking my future. My edited face appeared on a screen behind her. I will never allow my daughter to do that. The room filled with sympathetic murmurs. A pressure cuff tightened around my arm. I welcomed the pain. It gave me somewhere to put my anger. Olivia turned toward the aerial photograph of my property. His final wish was to give this villa to Gift of Tomorrow, so transplant families would never face illness alone, she said. Martin spoke quietly through my earpiece. The property has not transferred, Martin said. No gift is effective. The locksmith remains outside. Naomi sat in the front row, beside board counsel. Teresa waited near the rear wall. June stood by the hallway, carrying the walnut key box. Simon remained close to Olivia, one hand resting at the small of her back. Then a staff member handed him a cream-colored folder. He stepped to the microphone. Grant was not only Olivia's father, Simon said. He was the moral foundation of this organization. Today, Olivia will confirm the commitments that will carry his vision forward. He removed the management representation letter. Simon turned toward Olivia. This confirms that every material transaction has been disclosed to the board and outside accountant. It also confirms that restricted funds were used only for their approved purpose and that no officer received an undisclosed personal benefit. Olivia accepted the pages. Her eyes slowed at the second paragraph. Simon leaned closer. This is the same language we discussed. The microphone caught his whisper. Olivia glanced toward Naomi. Has the Hollis match been released? Naomi answered from her chair. The match is on administrative hold. A flicker crossed Olivia's face. Simon placed the pen between her fingers. That is temporary. The donation page is frozen too, Olivia said. Routine review, Simon replied. Sign, and we can reassure everyone. There it was. A door she could still refuse to walk through. Olivia faced the audience. As chief executive of Gift of Tomorrow, she said, I confirm that I reviewed our financial disclosures and that every material-related party transaction has been reported. I also confirm that restricted patient funds were not used for private benefit. Her signature moved across the page. Simon took the letter before the ink had dried. Thank you, he said. His left hand slipped into his jacket. He checked something hidden from the cameras, then whispered to a staff member near the side hall. The staff member nodded. Simon kissed Olivia's temple. "I need to handle the press line," he told her. Olivia caught his sleeve. "Stay for the keys." "I will be right outside," Simon said. He disappeared through the service corridor. My monitor quickened. Martin's voice entered my earpiece. "Agents have eyes on him. Do not react." Olivia continued speaking, unaware the chair beside her would remain empty. "We will now receive the key to Grant Whitmore Legacy House," she said. June crossed the stone floor carrying the walnut box. I had bought it in Lisbon during my last documentary with Eleanor. My wife used it for spare keys, birthday candles, and notes Olivia wrote as a child. Now Olivia reached for it, as though it contained a crown. "June served our family for many years," Olivia told the audience. "No one understands what this home meant to my father more than she does." June stopped beside her. The red light on Olivia's microphone remained bright. "The trustee authorization?" June asked. Olivia's smile tightened. "Simon handled it." "And the death certificate?" June asked. "This is not the time for paperwork," Olivia replied. "The locksmith is still waiting outside," June said. A few guests shifted in their seats. Olivia lowered her voice, but the microphone caught every word. "Give me the box," Olivia said. June held it against her apron. "Your father is alive," June said. "Didn't he tell you?" Olivia's hand missed the edge of the box. Her heel slid against the polished stone. Both knees struck the floor with a hollow crack. One hand caught June's sleeve, while the other reached toward the place Simon had been standing. "Simon?" Olivia called. No answer came from the service hall. The comment stream stopped for half a second, then exploded. "Alive? Call the hospital. Where is her husband?" She said, "He was dead." Olivia pushed herself upright on one knee. Her face had lost every trace of practiced grief. "What did you say?" Olivia asked. June did not repeat herself. Naomi stood. "Keep the live stream active," Naomi told the camera crew. Olivia turned toward her. "Turn it off. The board controls this feed," Naomi replied. "You cannot broadcast a family emergency," Olivia said. "You made it a public event," Naomi replied. Olivia looked toward the side corridor again. "Where is Simon?" she asked. No one answered. Naomi touched the control tablet. The large screen behind Olivia went black. My edited interview disappeared. For 1 second, the room reflected itself in the dark glass. Then my hospital camera came alive. My face filled the screen. Skin drained of color. Oxygen beneath my nose. A line taped to my neck. The edge of a bandage above my gown. Olivia stared up at me from the floor. Dr. Shaw touched my shoulder. Slowly. "Olivia," I said. "I am alive." The room made no sound. She gripped the walnut box against her chest. "No," Olivia whispered. "I survived the surgery," I told her. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "I was revived," I continued. "The hospital told Simon." Olivia shook her head. "He said your heart stopped." "It did," I replied. "He said you were gone." The nurse told him I was stable. Olivia turned toward the service corridor. "Simon!" she screamed. Only the empty hallway answered. June stepped away. The box remained in Olivia's arms, but it contained no authority. The locks had not changed. The trust had not transferred. Olivia crawled closer to the screen. "Dad, please turn the cameras off," she said. "You asked the cameras to witness my final gift. I did not know. You did not check. Simon told me you died. You called the florist." Her face twisted. I was in shock. "You scheduled a locksmith. I thought the house had transferred. You never asked where my body was." Olivia pressed both palms to the floor. Behind her, Naomi collected the signed letter from Simon's abandoned folder. A notification flashed across Martin's private screen. "Simon has reached the marina," Martin said in my earpiece. Olivia heard only my silence. Then, she looked up and found the role she wanted next. "Simon made me do it," she said. My incision burned as I drew breath. "Did he withdraw your kidney too?" Olivia's face tightened on the screen. "That is not fair," she said. "Neither was asking for my house after you had already withdrawn," I replied. A murmur moved through the villa. The board camera caught guests lowering their phones. no longer certain whether they were recording a memorial or evidence. Martin appeared in a smaller window beside my hospital feed. He wore the same navy tie he had worn when I signed the trust amendment. For clarity, Martin said, Grant Whitmore is alive and remains the acting trustee of the Whitmore Family Trust. The villa has not transferred to Gift of Tomorrow. No deed transferring it was signed or delivered. No death certificate exists. The charitable gift letter requires an independent audit and board approval before any future transfer. Olivia stood slowly, using the walnut box for balance. You told me the papers were complete, she said, looking toward the empty service corridor. Simon was no longer there to answer. Martin continued. The locksmith at the gate has been informed that he lacks authorization. He is leaving the property. June glanced toward a window. Outside, the locksmith's van rolled away from the service drive. Olivia turned back to my image. Simon handled the legal details. He controlled the accounts. He told me, you were dead. You had the hospital number, I said. I was in shock. You had Martin's number. I trusted my husband. You trusted the version that gave you my house. Her mouth opened, then closed. June stepped beside Naomi. The locksmith arrived before the memorial began. June said, Miss Olivia asked me to pack Mr. Whitmore's bedroom before she had a death certificate or trustee authorization. Olivia snapped toward her. You have always wanted to turn him against me. June's voice remained even. I asked for paperwork. You asked for keys. Naomi raised one hand. This is not a family argument, Naomi said. The board will now address the financial statements Miss Vale signed today and the records already verified by outside custodians. Evelyn appeared on the large screen behind Olivia. She did not show rows of numbers. She showed 3 arrows. The first arrow began with the Morgan Family Housing Fund. The second pointed to Bright Harbor Media. The third ended at expenses connected to Olivia and Simon. $75,000 was restricted for housing, transportation, and care for the Morgan family, Evelyn said. The family received $12,000. Certified bank records show that part of the remaining money went to Bright Harbor and related vendors controlled through undisclosed connections to Simon Vale. Olivia shook her head. I did not control those vendors. Evelyn displayed a payment confirmation. Bright Harbor paid for a vehicle leased in your name, a resort stay for you and Simon, and personal styling charges that were coded as patient services. The board did not approve those benefits. They were foundation expenses, Olivia said. Naomi lifted the management letter Olivia had just signed. You certified less than an hour ago that restricted patient funds were not used for private benefit, Naomi said. Simon told me the coding was proper. Evelyn changed the image. Olivia's annual certification from 8 months earlier filled the screen. You signed the same statement before today, Evelyn said. You also approved Bright Harbor as a vendor while certifying that no related transaction had been withheld from the board. Olivia looked at the guests. Her eyes searched the room for someone willing to rescue the woman they had praised minutes earlier. No one moved. Then, Teresa stepped forward. She carried a clear evidence sleeve containing the burned edge of her letter. In her other hand was a printed copy of the campaign page that had used Paul's hospital photograph. My husband was not a marketing concept, Teresa said. Olivia's voice softened instantly. Teresa, I am so sorry for what happened. Do not apologize to me because a camera is running, Teresa replied. Olivia flinched. Teresa held up the campaign page. Your foundation promised that the first $75,000 raised with Paul's story would be reserved for our housing, transportation, and home care. We received $12,000. While he was dying, your staff asked him to repeat a line about how safe we felt. That same night, our motel gave us an overdue notice. I did not know you had not received the balance, Olivia said. Teresa raised the scorched letter. I wrote to you. Simon tried to burn it in your father's fireplace. I never saw that letter. You saw my emails, Teresa replied. Your name is on 2 responses telling me not to confuse donors with public complaints. The comment stream changed faster than I could read. Where did the money go? She signed it. Keep the camera on. Dr. Shaw stepped closer to my bed. Your pressure is rising. I need 5 more minutes, I said. You have 3, Dr. Shaw replied. Naomi nodded toward Evelyn. The raw interview appeared beside Olivia's published version. In the first, my recorded voice said, "I will never ask my daughter to risk her life for me. She has the right to decide what happens to her own body." In the second, the pieces had been cut into a different sentence. "I will never allow my daughter to do that." The two clips ended together. Olivia closed her eyes. Evelyn played the production room recording next. Olivia's own voice came through the villa speakers. "Remove the part where he says I can decide. That weakens the sacrifice story." The audience heard Simon ask what the campaign should be called. "Grant's Final Gift," recorded Olivia answered. "A dying father creates urgency." The woman standing in my living room seemed smaller than the woman on the recording, but the voice belonged to both. "No," Olivia whispered. "Simon pushed me to make the campaign stronger." Evelyn displayed the certified enterprise archive. Olivia's message appeared first. "I withdrew at 8:14 this morning. Get him to sign before he checks." Then, the next line. "No house. No kidney." The room became silent enough for me to hear the monitor beside my bed. I lifted the blue bracelet into view of the hospital camera. "One life saves another." Olivia stared at it. "You had the right to refuse surgery," I said. "You did not have the right to sell me a promise you had already withdrawn." Tears rolled down her face. This time, she did not check whether the camera could see them. "I was scared," Olivia said. "So was I. You had money. You had lawyers. You always had choices. I had a failing kidney. You made me feel like saying no would kill you. I told you, your body belonged to you. You still looked disappointed." I was dying, Olivia. Disappointment was not a contract. Naomi opened the signed board resolution. "Under the bylaws and the vote completed this morning, Olivia Whitmore Vale is administratively suspended as chief executive. Effective immediately," Naomi said. "Simon Vale is suspended as operating director. Neither may access foundation accounts, systems, offices, or records. Company devices must be surrendered to board counsel." Olivia clutched her phone. "You cannot take my private messages," she said. "Board counsel is requesting only foundation-owned devices and accounts," Naomi replied. "Your personal phone will be handled through lawful process, if required." Two board attorneys approached. Olivia surrendered a foundation tablet and laptop from the memorial desk. Her personal phone remained in her hand. Martin's voice entered my earpiece. "Grant, agents have taken Simon into custody at the marina under the existing warrant. He was stopped before boarding the charter boat." I looked at Olivia. "Simon has been arrested," I said. Her fingers went slack around the phone. "For what?" she asked. "The warrant concerns verified bank records, false vendor filings, attempted destruction of records, and preparations to leave," Martin said. "No one is announcing conclusions from the devices seized today." Olivia backed into the empty chair beneath my photograph. "He told me we were leaving together," she said. No one answered. A second later, anger replaced shock. "He created the companies," Olivia said. "He moved the money. He lied about Dad. I will give you everything, every password, every message." Naomi's gaze stayed firm. "You may cooperate through counsel." Olivia looked up at my screen. "Dad, tell them I was manipulated." "Simon manipulated you," I said. Relief flickered across her face. Then I continued. "He also preserved messages, proving which choices were yours." Her relief vanished. Dr. Shaw placed one hand on the tablet. "Grant, we are ending this now." Olivia stepped toward the screen. "You are going to let them destroy me?" she asked. The pain beneath my bandage had become hot and deep, but my voice did not shake. "For once," I said, "I am going to let your choices reach you." 18 months after I told Olivia I would let her choices reach her, a federal judge asked Simon Vale whether he understood the sentence he was about to receive. I watched from the second row of the courtroom. My transplant scar still pulled when I sat too long, and the medication left a bitter taste at the back of my throat. June sat beside me, with both hands folded over her purse. Teresa occupied the aisle seat across from us. Simon looked smaller without tailored suits and camera lights. "Yes, Your Honor," Simon said. The investigation had taken longer than every angry part of me wanted. Agents copied the laptop seized at the marina under a warrant, traced more than $1,200,000 through Bright Harbor and related vendors, and matched false invoices to an account in the Bahamas. The charter deposit, deleted messages, and bank records showed that Simon had planned to leave Florida after Olivia signed the financial statement. He pleaded guilty to fraud, obstruction, and moving restricted charitable funds through concealed companies. The judge sentenced him to 9 years in federal prison. Assets bought with foundation money were forfeited. Restitution would be paid through the court to approved claimants. Simon did not look at me when marshals led him away. Olivia's sentencing came 3 weeks later. Olivia had pleaded guilty to conspiracy, false statements, and misuse of restricted funds. Cooperation against Simon reduced her exposure, but it did not erase her signatures, her messages, or the video she had approved. The judge sentenced her to 4 years. She was ordered to pay restitution with Simon and barred from directing a non-profit after release. The court did not mention her kidney. No one punished her for refusing surgery. Her sentence belonged to the money she helped misuse and the lies she chose to sign. When the hearing ended, Olivia turned toward me. Outside the courtroom, reporters called her name, but Olivia kept her face turned toward the deputy. No foundation staff waited for her. The woman who once entered every room through applause crossed the marble floor beneath the sound of questions she could no longer edit. For 1 second, she looked like the child who used to wait backstage while I screened a film. Then a deputy touched her elbow, and the expression disappeared. By the time of sentencing, Olivia had been permanently removed for 18 months. Naomi had called me 3 days after the live stream. The vote passed, she said. All 5 directors participated. 4 voted yes. 1 abstained. What happens to Gift of Tomorrow? An interim executive director begins Monday. Approved patient housing continues through the outside administrator. Sponsors will receive a full accounting, and every family may submit a claim. You are keeping the organization alive. We are keeping the patients from paying for Olivia and Simon, Naomi replied. That mattered more than destroying the name. 3 days before Olivia's court-ordered self-surrender date, she asked to see me. We met in a private conference room at Martin's office. Her attorney waited beyond the glass wall. Olivia wore a plain navy dress and no makeup. The blue bracelet was gone. Simon knew exactly what frightened me, she said. He knew I was terrified the foundation would fail. I waited. He said donors only support perfection, Olivia continued. He said one bad report would erase everything Mom's name meant. Simon used your fear, I said. Relief crossed her face. Then I added, he did not create it. Olivia looked down at her hands. He told me the money would be replaced. You signed statements saying it had never been taken. I believed him. You approved the edited video. Her shoulders stiffened. I was trying to save the campaign. You told the editor that a dying father created urgency. I was under pressure. Simon did not withdraw from the donor program for you. He did not say, die faster, bastard. He did not make you come for my house before asking where my body was. Her eyes filled. I was angry, Olivia said. So was I. You always had the power to survive my mistakes. That was the problem, I replied. Every time I paid, apologized, or hid what you had done, you learned that your mistakes belonged to me. She pressed her palms together. Will you visit me? I do not know. Do you forgive me? No. The answer left no space for performance. Olivia inhaled sharply. Maybe someday you will become someone who no longer asks that question before doing the work. Her attorney opened the door. Time had ended. Olivia stood, then paused, beside my chair. I did love you, she said. I believe part of you did. That answer hurt her more than anger would have. After she left, Martin placed the old trust amendment on the table. I had revoked it the morning after the live stream. The villa would never pass through Gift of Tomorrow. A new charitable property trust took its place. 22 months after the memorial, Sarasota County held the final inspection. The process had included a public hearing, fire safety upgrades, wider doorways, accessible bathrooms, new insurance, and strict limits on how many families could stay at once. The villa was not inside an association that prohibited charitable lodging, but neighbors still asked hard questions about traffic, noise, and emergency access. We answered them one by one. The building inspector tested alarms while I stood in the former dining room, where Olivia had placed the trust papers. A long table now held welcome folders, transportation schedules, and meal vouchers. June entered, carrying payroll forms. "Do not ask me to run this whole place," she said. "I have already told Naomi. You are not running it. I am supervising payroll and helping families learn the house." "That sounds suspiciously like work." June gave me a look. "A professional executive director runs the facility. I make sure nobody pays a vendor named Harbor anything." I laughed before my abdomen reminded me. Laughter still had consequences. My health had improved, but recovery never became a clean ending. I took medication every morning and evening. Blood tests remained part of my calendar. Crowded rooms still made me cautious. Survival had rules. The opening of Eleanor Whitmore House was small. No donation counter glowed on a screen. No camera followed families into bedrooms. Naomi spoke for less than 5 minutes. The new executive director explained annual audits, restricted fund tracking, and the claims process created for families harmed by gift of tomorrow. Teresa stood beside a framed display in the hall. Families who had filed claims watched from folding chairs. Some accepted restitution. Others wanted only a public record showing that they had not lied. Inside, the display rested the blue bracelet. One life saves another. Beneath the bracelet, a printed promise stated that every restricted donation would be reported publicly, audited yearly, and used only for the purpose named to donors. "You could have thrown it away," I said. Teresa adjusted the frame. "Then it would still belong to Olivia's lie." "What does it belong to now?" "The people who check the numbers after the cameras leave." Paul's name appeared among the first families approved for restitution. Nothing could restore his final months, but the record would no longer pretend the promise had been kept. That afternoon, a letter arrived from Olivia. She wrote from prison without asking for money, an appeal, or a public statement. She described working in the laundry, reading nonprofit accounting books, and attending counseling. Near the end, she wrote that she finally understood my silence had never meant her words did not hurt. I read the sentence twice. Then I folded the letter and placed it in the drawer beside Eleanor's fountain pen. I did not answer. A knock sounded from the hallway. June stood with a young woman, her mother, and a boy holding a worn backpack. The mother's husband had entered the transplant unit that morning. They had driven from Georgia and expected to sleep in their car until a social worker called us. June held out a key. "This room is ready," she said. The boy looked past us toward the water. "We can really stay here?" "As long as your family needs during treatment," I told him. His mother covered her mouth. No camera captured her tears. No donation total appeared beneath them. I handed her the key Olivia had once tried to claim. Down the hallway, the blue bracelet caught the afternoon light behind glass. My daughter had wanted the house because she believed inheritance was proof of love. In the end, the villa became proof of something harder. Love was not what we took from family before they died. It was what we protected for strangers after the truth survived. You may believe love means protecting your family from every consequence, paying every debt, hiding every mistake, and giving one more chance after the last promise has already been broken. This story shows why that kind of protection can become dangerous. When you repeatedly rescue someone from the results of their choices, you may not be teaching compassion. You may be teaching them that your pain is affordable and that your forgiveness has no limit. You also learn that a person has the right to control their own body. No child owes a parent an organ, and no parent should force a child to donate. But that right never gives anyone permission to lie, manipulate, demand property, misuse charity money, or trade false hope for financial gain. You must separate the medical decision from the dishonest behavior. Respecting someone's right to say no does not require you to accept cruelty, fraud, or emotional blackmail. Another lesson is that public kindness is not the same as private character. A person can speak beautifully about compassion, wear the right symbols, collect praise, and still mistreat the people closest to them. You should pay attention to what someone does when there is no audience. Ask where the money goes. Read documents before signing. Verify promises. Keep copies of messages and contracts. When property, medical care, inheritance, or charity funds are involved, trust should be supported by clear records and independent oversight. You should also remember that anger is not enough to create justice. You do not create accountability by shouting louder, humiliating someone instantly, or using money as a weapon. You create it by preserving evidence, asking qualified professionals to verify records, following lawful procedures, and protecting innocent people from further harm. Real accountability is stronger when it can survive questions, audits, and a courtroom. Setting boundaries does not make you heartless. You can love someone and still refuse to lie for them. You can hope they change and still allow them to face prison, financial loss, public correction, or the end of a relationship. Forgiveness, if it ever comes, should not erase restitution or restore access to money and power before trust has been rebuilt. A sincere apology is only the beginning. Change must appear through repeated, honest actions over time. Most importantly, you should never allow another person to turn your fear into a weapon against you. Illness, loneliness, age, and family loyalty can make you vulnerable to pressure. Before signing away a home, changing a trust, transferring money, or accepting a painful family bargain, slow down and speak with someone independent. Desperation can make a bad agreement feel like your only chance, but your dignity and legal rights do not disappear because you are sick. Have you ever protected someone so many times that they began to treat your sacrifice as an obligation? Have you ever had to choose between saving a relationship and allowing the truth to come out? What boundary would you set if someone you loved used your fear, money, or illness against you? Share your experience, because your story may help another person recognize manipulation before one final promise costs them everything.